Alright, so let's get back into it and try to finish some stuff. You can see I've changed IDEs just for fun. I'm going to use Writer for a little bit to finish some of this up, just to show you don't just have to use Visual Studio. You could even use Visual Studio Code if you wanted to. I'm a big fan of Writer, so there are some things it can do. Like if when we go back to doing the VSTO part with the Automation Designer, you'll see that Writer doesn't support that yet. But for general web programming and just general DLLs, it's just fine. Alright, so let's get going. So one thing I noticed I didn't really take into consideration as well as I should have is go and add that secondary constructor back in. And what we'll do is we'll just go into we'll just grab that. So we had, there we go. We'll just grab that constructor that we had removed and add that back in. And we'll go, yeah. Okay. That should fix those errors. Ah, okay. And then let's fix this setter real quick while we're here, because we changed the interface. So what we're gonna do is go get, and we'll bring this over here, and then we're gonna do a set, and we'll say it equals value. We'll just do it like that. I will just say new point of value dot x. I will just leave it alone. Alright, so, and this is just happy that we haven't returned anything, so we'll just return sheet. Okay. We'll say, alright, so let's go and finish off where we're at real quick. So, alright, so now that we've got this kind of set up, we're going to go through and so we can go and grab all the points that we need now. So now we have a couple options. I don't know the best one to take. Definitely want to try to make this as simple as accessing a list. So I don't want to do anything complicated. So I've written more complicated code to have to deal with drawings in the past, and I'm really just want something simple. So let's take a look. So when we look at our curves object, so I think it'd be nice just to have methods in here that go and enumerate through the points and find the min and max values based on what we're needing. I do think I want to. So we have our sheet object. So, you know what I'd like to do, I don't think we can do. I think when we were looking at the geometry intent object earlier, let's go to open Inventor. We don't really need it right now, but we'll leave it open. Is I wanted And maybe we could inject it. That might be a pain. So what we'll do is, since we already have access to this sheet and this object, is we're going to let's go and start creating some methods. So when we get all these curves, they're going to have all their various points in them. So it would be nice to have. So let's say we have public, and let's get max x point. So and what we'll do and I think what we'll do is we'll make a let's go and do that. Let's make a so in our drawing and our point object, let's make a class. So let's go do that. We'll add a class. We'll say geometry point. Okay, and we're gonna have it inherit from point. Okay, and we'll need to implement the missing members. So we got both of theirs working now. All right, so one thing we also need is we need reference to the sheet for this to work. So we're gonna have to go and say Inventor sheet. Well, yeah, let's do Inventor sheet. Introduce. Okay. Let's do the same thing here. Alright, so now we've got that kind of set up the way we want. Alright, so, and then we want to create the intent point now. So, alright, so we're going to say so when this object gets created, we'd like it to man. Yeah, I wish there was a super simple way to go about this, but you know, we just gotta deal with what we have. Because we need access to the curve as well. Okay. Alright, so what we'll do in here is we'll say public geometry intent. I will just say geometry intent. Let's make a note that this is a base interop object. So we'll look at maybe extracting that out later. And we'll say that when we get this, so we'll say get, we'll say sheet dot, yeah, we need the curve as well. I wonder if we can just think about this for a second before we get too much further. So we say curve dot. So we have our sheet object here. So yeah, for simplicity, yeah, I'd rather not have to do this, but I think it'll just make life easier. Let's go ahead and add the sheet as a reference to the curve. I think that will be what we want to do. Let's go into our curve. Alright, so we want to add both of these then. Well, let's leave that one out for now. And we'll come back to it later. Okay. Alright. Awesome. So I think that'll help make things a bit easier. Alright, so now we don't need the sheet reference. Okay. So alright, so now that we have that a little bit smoother, so when we pass the let's fix that too. Let's go and get this stored in. Okay. So when we create the geometry intent, we're going to say return okay, so and we're going to say we need to pass it a point. So we're going to return. So let's say our curve dot let's fix that real quick. So we need to have that as public, unfortunately. That'll be okay. sheet dot create geometry intent. Okay, so now we're going to pass in, we know we want our curve dot curve, and we know we want to get the, we're going to pass in our point dot create point. Okay, I know that seems a little silly to have to do that, but that's the way we have to create geometry intent to actually dimension something. Okay. I think that's going to be the way we want to go about it. I think. Oh, you know what? We probably shouldn't even worry about that, to be honest. We should probably just do this and bring back in the value. Okay, that's better. Okay, we'll rename this to create intent. Okay. Okay, so I think we're on track for what we wanted. I wonder. Oh, we'll leave that alone for now. We might just change this out to an extension method, I think, later. Let's leave it alone for now. So let's say we're going to get max point. So to get the max point, what we're going to do is we're going to say, this. So we're going to go through and find, so we're going to go through all the points in our object. And we're going to say this dot first or default, and we're going to say point dot oops. Yeah, so this dot first or default geez, I just said. Okay, then we're going to say curve. Okay, so we'd rather not have to search through any of these points. So we'll make a better method here later. But let's go ahead and say, let's make a public list point points. Let's return every point on our list, and we'll say return new list of point. And we're going to say start point, end point, top left point, top right point, top left point. Oh, we got that one edited already. Bottom left point, bottom right point, and center point. Okay. And then, all right, so we were good there. Okay, so let's go back and we'll say curve dot points. So now we're interested in the max x value. So we're going to say word point. Okay, so let's make another helper here. Let's cache this so it's not inefficient. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and cache it, I think. I will leave it alone now. We'll cache it later. We'll say public max x points. Points. Okay. Now that we're gonna, so what we'll do is we're gonna return all the points that match the max value. So let's first run through this, and what we'll do is we're gonna say var max x value equals points dot max, and we're gonna say point point dot x. Okay. So, and then we're gonna say, so now we've got that max value. We're gonna say return points dot where point dot x is I think we'll keep it like I think yeah, points dot where, and we're gonna say dot to list. Okay, and let's have this go and fix that real quick. And our tolerance is gonna be and what we'll do is we'll just make a standard tolerance up here. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's not. Let's fix that real quick. And we're just gonna say okay. So we'll do some refactoring later, and we'll just set that to our tolerance. So if you're not familiar with how doubles work, I'll explain why we had to do this. So with floating point numbers, so a double is a floating point number, so it's just twice the as double the memory that a floating point number has. So what we end up doing is we don't want to directly compare one because the systems can interpret that value differently depending on how many trailing zeros it has. And we're doing in drawing space in a pretty precise place in a document. So when we go to debug this later, you're going to see these, you know, irrational numbers around forever. So we need to do this, compare it to a tolerance to see if we're inspect. Okay, so let's go and write a couple more of these. So we're interested in the max X points, public list point, and so min X points. So we're gonna go and run this through, and we're gonna just kind of copy this to keep going. And we're gonna say var min X value, and we're gonna change this to dot min. Change this to min. Okay, there's that one. Okay, so now we're gonna go max Y points. Okay, now we're gonna go max Y value, and let's go and go Y. Change that out. All right, so let's do that again. So this time we're interested in the min Y points. Okay. All right, so if we're going to say min Y, all right, there we go. So I think that kind of covers what we needed. So that'll return. So in our curve, and we could have you could have wrote these differently as well, but curves aren't always just straight lines. I wanted to have something that could kind of handle everything we're getting thrown at. Okay, so now let's go back to our curves object. So now when we get this big list of curves, it should, now with those other methods we added in, this should make this a little bit easier. So let's go this dot first default, and we're going to get the max X point. So we're going to say curve dot max X points dot first default. Okay, so let me think. Okay, so let's go and say var points equal curves equals this dot where curve dot oh man, I'm a mess today with it. All right, so curve dot max X points. All right, so we're just gonna select them all. So it's gonna give us all the max X points. All right, so now we want to grab the max of those. Yeah. I wonder if we should just go ahead and cast that for simplicity. Um, so I'm thinking that instead of directly returning, we should go ahead and cast these over to geometry points. And I think that's going to save us some time. So let's go and do that. And I think, there we go. I think that'll be how we want to go about these. So let's go and do that. So we're going to find all the point. Yeah, let's just not make this complicated. Let's just fix it real quick. There might be some fancy way in the editor to do them real quick, but I'll probably spend as much time figuring that out as we could just do it. Okay. Right, so let's go and edit some. This is in. Oh, right, awesome. Cannot implement. Oh, let's hold off on that one then. We'll plan out my interfaces later. Okay. Okay, so. Alright. Bloop. Alright, so we're going to say. So now we're interested in the max X point with the max value. I wonder if we should just skip doing them here. Yeah, let's test it out, see if we should just skip that real quick. So let's just say we're going to say curve dot select points. So that'll give us our list. So now we've got all the points. So now we're going to get the max X value. So I imagine we'll be doing the points thing a lot. So let's say public list geometry point. return this dot select. Oh. Oh, still not happy. What are we doing wrong? Well, apparently we made the ID upset. Cannot convert. Oh, okay, so we're... Oh, so we've got... okay, I imagine we could select... select point dot points? That seems silly. Let's do it the old-fashioned way, then we'll come back to it. We'll say... for each var, cn this, and we'll make a temp list, var temp list, new list of geometry point, and we'll say, then we'll get a list of the points, var points equals c dot points, and we'll do another loop. We'll go var p and points, and we'll say temp list dot add p, and then we'll just return the temp list. And I'll figure out the link query later. I just didn't feel like messing with the way we can move forward. And ReSharper might actually know what our... Oh, yeah, ReSharper knew better than I did. So I guess we'll just leave it like that. All right. So I'm gonna take a break.